We are live, uncensored, live with Clay, myself, Clay Edwards, Shaun and Lindsey Beckham, host of Crossing the Aisle. This is about episode 6 or 7. It's our second Monday in a row doing this. Enjoying it. I did think of another name for the show today, and kind of in the same vein as Uncensored.
Shaun, don't us.
Shaun, I can hear him really, really well, but I can't hear us like at all, hardly.
Oh, okay. I can hear us fine.
Unfiltered instead of uncensored. Unfiltered. Maybe it's not as beat up as exhausted as uncensored. But either way, we're live here on a Monday night in America. I'm feeling much better tonight. I had a terrible splitting headache last night, so I apologize for an underwhelming performance on last night's show. And hopefully I will redeem myself this evening. You gotta be sure, swing by my website, buy the shirt that I'm wearing now. It's on sale for $15 if you wear a 2XL. It's listed as the OG FAFO. It's available in gray and black. So get those if you want one of these. Otherwise, the new ones are $30. So swing by, check out the website. What's going on, guys?
Nothing. Lindsey, can you still hear us now?
A little bit.
Okay.
It's just I don't know. Something's off.
Just turn her headphones on her channel all the way up.
It's like I hear Clay really loud. I just don't hear.
You don't hear me at all?
Yeah, I mean I do. It's just not. It's a little better now. A little better now. Yeah. Usually Clay has the controversy filled show. I think we had a little bit of fireworks on our show today.
I thought it was y'all's best show today. At least the second half of it. I mean, I listened to the whole thing. I mean, the first half wasn't bad either, but I think the second half is what people want when they think crossing the aisle.
Yeah,
falling over and punching each other.
Yeah, I mean it was close to happening.
Yeah, just a bit.
Look, it's okay to have hardline beliefs. Like it's okay. It's okay to be firm in your beliefs. You're supposed to be. Being tested and somebody not wavering in theirs is what makes you test yours to decide if that's how you really feel or not. It's why me and Shaun did so well on the radio, is we were both firm in our beliefs, but we bent when we truly believe we should bend. And I thought y'all have done that. And I thought today was just
one of those things we weren't going to bend on. And I could see Shaun's lips start to quiver a little bit over there. I was like, I better lay off.
Yeah.
Well, let's tell people what y'all were arguing about. They were debating. Shaun had come up with some numbers, which I think are shenanigans, but neither here nor there. Some polling numbers, and it says 38% of Americans have changed. Only 38% of Americans now agree with the current administration's policy on, make sure I'm wording this right, policy on immigration, just mass immigration. And Shaun always uses the guy that's been at Walmart, been at Home Depot for 20 years analogy.
Which is like, I'm sure, a very, very, very small percentage of.
Actually, it was in the shower. I was thinking about y'all in the shower. No homo.
That's nice.
All right.
And what I was wanting to do was Google Shaun's analogy and see if there's actually been anybody arrested that worked at Home Depot for 20
years.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'd worked there for 20 years, but they worked at Home Depot. I mean, I was obviously, yes, I was saying somebody had been here for a long time and working. I don't know if they've specifically worked at Home Depot. Okay,
I think anybody that's been working at Home Depot for 20 years and isn't running the place by now should probably be arrested.
That would suck. That would suck a lot if you worked there for 20. Has Home Depot been around? Yeah, it's been around for 20 years. What am I talking about? It has.
Yeah. So Shaun's stance was that they should not be considered a criminal. They should only be going after. He says that Trump only ran on the fact that they were going to go after dangerous criminals or at least first. And I said, no, I mean, I think Trump very clearly campaigned on the fact that they were going to deport anyone here illegally. And he kept throwing out this Home Depot worker that's been there for 20 years. And I said, but are they not a criminal if their first act when they stepped foot onto U.S. soil was coming here illegally? Like, is that not a criminal? If you break the law, does that not make you a criminal? He says no. Funny enough, a defense attorney says that.
So there does say there's been some arrest at Home Depot, but none that confirm 20 years. But I did click on the first story, and it says this, of course, is in Los Angeles. It says a U.S. citizen who was arrested during it. See, it's already lying. It says U.S. citizen, so I'm not going to read any more of this because fake news.
Right.
But if I go back and I take illegal out, see, I'd initially said, have any immigrants been arrested for working at Home Depot for 20 years? I probably butchered the prompt there, but let's take the illegal out, and you get an AI overview that says there are reports of recent immigration raids and arrests at Home Depot locations, but there's no indication of a 20-year pattern of arrests. I don't think it's quite understanding my.
So you're asking, has somebody worked at Home Depot for 20 years? Yes, I admit I exaggerated on that. So if that's the point we're trying to get.
Okay.
And in all fairness, I'm just busting Shaun's balls here. Yeah. I know what he means. So,
right. Exactly.
And of course, I had to bring it up because I knew Clay would agree with me on this one.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yes, I do agree that if you're first, me and Shaun have had this conversation. If your first thing you did when coming to this country was come here illegally, you're technically a criminal. But I do understand what Shaun's saying, and I do appreciate Shaun's bleeding heart on this. And I don't mean that as a knock. It's just the best way I can say it. Mm-hmm. I truly don't. We need people like that. And this is the yin and yang that I believe make America great, as long as both sides are being heard and represented from a lawmaker perspective.
And I mean, I agree with him on the fact that if there are people who are here who came here for a better life and to make a better way for their family, and they haven't done anything violent or been arrested for anything since they've been in the United States, and they are paying taxes and they are working consistently, I do think there should be some sort of pathway or some sort of program set up, maybe a fine, maybe some way to get them to citizenship instead of just deporting them or sending them back. But my point this morning was, or this afternoon on our show, was they still committed a criminal act illegally coming into the country, knowing that they were doing so. So, we have to agree to disagree on that one. We've had knockdown dragouts about it.
My counter to that would be too, though. Okay, yes. Yeah. Did they break a law? Okay, yes, they did. I'm not going to dispute that. How many, so everybody that breaks law is automatically a criminal. That's what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. So like if you've had alcohol in a dry county, you've committed a criminal offense. So that now you're a criminal.
Yes.
That's okay. That's what we're saying. Everybody were in that standard.
If you 47 and a 45, you
can be a rehabilitated criminal.
Okay.
So raise your hand if you're a rehabilitated criminal. I mean,
I've had to go to youth court when I was younger. So
not to drag my personal life through the mud, but I'm not trying to throw rocks from a glass house here. I mean, I have, these two can vouch, I have indeed fucked around and found out.
Yeah.
And we'll just leave it at that. But it is what it is. I'll call myself out as quick as I'll call anybody else out if there's an arrest record of it. But right. And there are previous arrest records of the very such thing, and that's why I'm so firm on my whole fucked around and found out thing. Excuse my language. I really wasn't planning on cussing, but I think when I say fucked around and found out, people understand that that's just part of the shtick.
Right.
So with that said, I don't have a problem calling people out for this, and I will never change my mind on that, because I think at some point you have to have a hard line on whatever your belief is. And I thought y'all did a great job today, standing on y'all's hard line and, saying, what, this is what I believe. This is what I believe. And I was proud of both of you.
What I was thinking about after the show is we don't let our children, well, I know Shaun doesn't have any children, but you can't let your children run wild and get away with everything, because then they have this sense of that they can get away with anything. And this, they believe that they're owed everything. And I think that's the problem with a lot of kids in the world today. And Shaun, I know that we've talked about your dad and how tough he was on you, but I kind of see the similarities there. It's I feel like I definitely feel like you're right when it comes to the people who are hiring the illegals should have some consequences as well. But I think we should definitely be enforcing our laws, because if we don't, then we're not going to be the country we are anymore.
Well, the thing is, though, tacking off what you said there, the folks would not come here if they couldn't get a job. We all agree on that, right? They're not going to come here if they can't get a job. So if they're, and so the people that are employing them are guilty of a crime, I would think. I don't know what the crime is. I'm sure there's something, some social.
Well, I think it's tax fraud, right? If people are they have to be using a fake ID or a fake identity. See, also, and now here's the other thing. If they're here illegally and they're working somewhere like Home Depot, they're clearly using another person's identity.
They've lied to the employer. They've lied and said there's somebody else.
Yeah. Okay.
Identity theft also.
I can give you some perspective of that, because actually, when I went to the Attorney General's office, I had to, Bo Lucky, our friend who's the chief of the Capitol Police, he was attached to Homeland back then, back in 2014. And so all his cases were, because I used to mess with him all the time. I was like, are we arresting another Mexican that has a job? This is my thing with Bo, I love Bo, but and so what we would indict him for was fraudulent use of identity.
Well,
that
how
was
do you hold the business accountable if they don't know that
we were never told to prosecute any business? We were told to prosecute.
I know, but why would you prosecute the business if they're using a fake identity? How does the business know that they're not who they're saying they are?
I'll tell you exactly how. So you're telling me that you've got Enrique, Jorge, Jesus, and they're giving you IDs that are social security numbers that say I'm Bob Smith, and they don't know.
Well,
I mean, I think
Shaun and I learned, and Shaun, I don't want to say who it was.
I know what you're going to. I know where you're going.
What you and I learned is a lot of these big companies and warehouses, distributors of certain products will use a hiring firm, like a third party hiring agency, and like Kelly. I'm not saying that Kelly hires illegal people. I'm just using them as my example, like Kelly Staffing. And they'll trust that they did the background, so it gives them a layer of protection between the hiring and the identity background confirmations and all that stuff. So that's probably, as I say this out loud, how they do this without getting any penalty on them. And I did Google real quick, what is the crime / charge for knowingly hiring illegal workers?
I did too.
Now, obviously, it's probably going to be a state to state thing, I would think, but this is just what Google had to say. It says knowingly hiring unauthorized workers can lead to a significant penalty for employers, including both civil and criminal. Interesting on civil. It says civil penalties can include fines ranging from $375 to $1,600 per worker for a first offense, increasing for subsequent offenses. For, quote, pattern or practice violations where an employer knowingly hires a significant number of unauthorized workers, fines can reach up to $3,000 per employee, and they could face imprisonment for up to 6 months. Additionally, employers may face other consequences like loss of business licenses or disqualifications for government contracts. And I'll say this real quick and I'll turn it over to y'all. All you would have to do is lock up a few big name CEOs, or not even big name, but major company, people that hire more than 1,000 people or so. Lock up a few of these guys, make some examples, and I think you'll see rather quickly that these white collar guys do not like going to jail. Raise my hand again for somebody that doesn't like going to jail. It helped me change my patterns.
I also think the key word there is knowingly, and to prove that yes, maybe they had assumptions because of the name or whatever, but to say that they knowingly knew, I think that puts the crime a whole lot of times back on the worker because they're presenting a fake identity.
I understand what you're saying, but let's look at it in this context. Let's say you're presenting that case to a jury and you've got 30 workers. They're all Jesus, Enrique, Hector, all these guys, and they're presenting IDs of like English names. Okay. And it's obvious these guys don't speak much English. And this business continuously, I've got an example right here. In 2019, ICE raided chicken plants in Mississippi, arresting hundreds of workers. Employers were not charged criminally, but faced civil penalties in that case. So you're saying that, like, if I showed that evidence to a jury, they're going to be like, and then the employer got on the stand and said, yeah, I had no idea that Enrique was not like Robert Chamberlain. I think it's going to sound ridiculous.
But in that case, were those chicken plants paying them in cash and not going through the legal process like that? I'll tell you why I'm asking is because I know Simmons Catfish, and not to call them out, but they did have an illegal Mexican working for them who was drunk and hit me and a friend of mine head on, and it was awful. But he had no documentation, no papers, and so there was no tax. There were taxes taken out. They obviously, Simmons Catfish knew that they had hired an illegal immigrant. I think that's a whole different scenario than if you're a company who's hiring someone who's got a name and an ID and a social security number and is paying taxes. I think that's a different scenario completely. Don't you think?
I could see how it's a defense, how they would say, hey, look, Enrique gave me a social security card that says Robert Chamberlain, and I'm paying Robert Chamberlain on this based on the social security number. That's a defense. I just think if you've got, hundreds of Mexicans working there, all with these names hired by these employment agencies, what's going on, and everybody else knows what's going on. And I just think that's
but what's the law? I think you have to look more into the law.
Well, it says knowing, like pattern or practice, knowingly in a pattern or practice though. And I think when you bring those folks in, you've got to be like, if you're going to, that's going to be their defense. Like, ladies and gentlemen, I did not know this guy was not, Bob Chamberlain. I mean, and he can't speak English. You know what I mean? Like, it just, to me, it sounds ridiculous. Like,
I mean, you got to do a little bit of profiling. I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah.
You just do. If Tyrone is coming in as, I don't know, Tyrone's a good analogy, but you know what I mean here, man. Sometimes it's okay to stereotype. Use a little common sense. If Enrique is coming in as Bob, I got some questions. That's not a traditional Mexican name. I'm just going to be honest here.
Well, I work for Moms for
If
Liberty.
you don't speak English, your name's Bob.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's going to be, you know.
Well, I work for Moms for Liberty, and we have new people across the country who want to start a chapter. It's my job to talk to them, interview them, and then also research them, and then make the recommendation to the board whether or not I think they're a good fit within our organization. And so that kind of falls on me, but I do have to profile. I do have to look them up. I do have to look at their social medias and make sure that they are who they say they are. So, I mean, I can see how if there is a pattern, you could say that they knowingly knew they were doing it.
I want to say this too real quick. And this is actually something on a real human level beyond the politics that I am truly conflicted on, because I've never once had a single issue with a Hispanic person in my life. I've actually had nothing but extremely positive interactions anytime I've ever done business with anybody Hispanic. And I probably knowingly, I don't say knowingly, but it wasn't my job to find out if the people were here legally or not. You're paying cash for a vehicle, you sign a title over, it is what it is. It's not my job to do a background check on you. And I've had nothing, and I'm not saying they were illegal just because they were Mexicans either, by the way, but I've never had a bad experience with a Hispanic. Clearly it does happen out there. And it's not, I'll be honest, and I don't think it's the Hispanics coming over that people have truly had the problem with. It's when the border busted wide open and you have Haitians and all of these kind of folks coming over here.
They were eating the cats and they were eating the dogs.
They truly were. And, I know it's kind of funny or wild. I don't know if funny is the word, but it's so crazy to say it, but it was happening. And crazy things like that are happening. I just think there was a tipping point, just like with the abortion deal. It got pushed too far. When they start talking about post-birth abortions, murder, legitimate murder, 9-month abortions, people are going to start waving the flag like this ain't safe and exceptional and rare anymore. This is outright murder, and you people have become cold and depraved. And I think that's what happened with the border. You kicked it wide open, you went too far, and people are like, well, you know what? Now we're going to go too far. And this is exactly
what happened.
Swinging.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I think you're seeing that in a reaction to that. I also think, kind of what you just said about the Haitians, and this is not always the most politically correct thing to say, but I think it's just something that's a reality. And that's PBD was talking on Patrick Bet-David's podcast a few weeks ago, was talking about this issue.
One of the top 5 best political podcasts, culture podcast out there.
It is great. If you're not watching out there, you should watch it. It's terrific. And he's an Iranian guy, Iranian born. He was Muslim at birth. I don't know he may be a Christian now. I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember what his religion is. Anyway, so he comes from that background. And he was talking to people, friends of his in England, who said, hey, we'll trade you. The English people were like, we'll trade you our Muslim immigrants for your Hispanics, because they were like, Hispanics actually, work really hard, or members of the community and all that kind of stuff. And I kind of thought about that when you said Haitians, because, I grew up in Miami until high school, and there's a big conflict between the Cuban and Haitian community down there, and has been for decades. And it's because the Haitians, are out there. There's a lot of them. I hate to say this, committing a lot of crimes. I mean, that's a big problem in South Florida. And the Cubans are the ones that kind of built the city. Like, if you want to talk about an immigrant built city, that's an example to the country. It's Miami, because it was built on the backs of Cubans. And so the Cubans cannot stand the Haitians. It's a fight. It is a total fight. So I think that, it's rough to say this, and, nobody wants to jump it out loud, but there is a difference between certain immigrant groups and other ones, and it just depends. So, and that's what Bet-David was talking about. He's like, the Muslim immigrants are acting like jerks in England, where we don't really have, other than the gangs and certain criminals that we have here, with most of, like you just said, your experiences with Hispanic people have been great. Mine always have been too.
Yeah,
my brother-in-law is Mexican.
I've never had an issue.
I mean, it's
I've got. I don't mean to say this just because I have sponsors, but I have a Mexican restaurant. No, they're legal, American citizens, but I do have a Mexican restaurant that's a sponsor. And I'd be saying this with or without that. They're good people. I don't know what their staffing situation is, but I've never had nothing but good situations, good experiences with Hispanics. When I was in the buy here, pay here car business, we did a lot of business with the Hispanic community. And I've actually personally thought about trying to learn Spanish because I think that it's going to put you one step ahead here with them actually being, unless the numbers have changed, Shaun, you can correct me, or Lindsey, behind white people, Hispanic is the second largest demographic in the country. Is that not correct?
I would think so. I would
Or
think
they're
so.
going to be, yeah, it's close, right? Something like
Yeah,
that.
they're tracking to be. And I mean, I don't want to have I know that we're supposed to say, you got to learn our language, you need to assimilate, and that's fine. I 100% agree with that.
Mhm.
But in the process, I would like to be able to speak enough Spanish to have a conversation, to do business with them. Me and Matt at the radio station have talked about this a lot. He said if he ever started another station or for some reason flipped WYAB, and I'm paraphrasing here a little bit, so don't quote me on this, but he talks about Hispanic, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing when I say Hispanic. I'm kind of lumping it all in together here. Mexican, whatever you want to call it. He says Mexican Talk Radio is one of the fastest growing segments in radio, period. I wouldn't be opposed to being a part of that revolution here in the South somehow or another. But I mean, I don't think I'll ever be fluent enough in Spanish to host a Mexican Talk Radio. But I would like to be able to have those conversations and welcome them into the fold. I mean, I'm as pro legal Hispanic immigration as one could possibly be. But we gotta like we've said, man, we've got to come up with some type of deal on the current batch of folks that are here illegally, get it sorted out, get them reprocessed and back in the workforce or whatever. I don't think we should technically be sending everybody back home.
Right.
But if that's what we got to do on the front end till we get this thing right, then that's what we got to do. And it's a sad situation, but people did know that, hey, if the tide changes, if the wind blows a different way politically, this could happen. And it's happening.
So I did look it up. So Hispanics are the largest minority, 63 million, 19% of the U.S. population. African Americans are 41 million at 12%. So,
Oh, wow.
It was 14, and they've gone down a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they are.
But they should that should change. I'm not saying this to sound facetious or anything, but with the abortion stuff going away, that you'll start to see that number change, given how many Planned Parenthood and abortion facilities were in African American communities, and with African American women being the leader in abortions, you'll see that number go up, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I was actually going to look at what group has the highest birth rate. Between all races or ethnicities. I'm not sure. I mean,
I don't know either. I don't have any idea.
It's just we are. I mean, I know as a country as a whole, we are at a negative birth rate, but I think that's just overall we're at a negative birth rate, not specific. I don't know when you break it down by groups. It actually is Hispanics are the number one group with the highest birth rate.
Yeah, I bet you they were also one of the ones least apt to kill their babies.
Probably so, because you're generally pretty conservative Catholic.
Very.
Yeah.
I want to address a comment over here. Dan White, is under his other alias Peekaboo, says that nope, English speaking nation, and me and you disagree 100% on this, Clay. I'm not saying that they shouldn't learn English. I'm just saying that I don't have a problem learning a little Spanish so I can communicate. I don't see where that's to me, that's not even a political statement. I'm just saying I don't have a problem learning a little Spanish to have a communication with somebody as they assimilate into this country.
Yeah, and I completely understand that. And I mean, Shaun, your dad is an immigrant who came from Turkey, and I mean, I think he agrees with that. He's one of
Shaun's got a great story about his dad.
Yeah.
Having a conversation with somebody down in Miami, and it's like, hey, we're in America now. You got to speak English. Quit doing that shit.
He hates it when because especially you got to think Miami is such a different place than Mississippi, where it's a melting pot of people, but it's primarily Hispanic. I mean, I think the Hispanic population is like something like 85 to 90%. So everybody speaks Spanish. I mean, you go into a grocery store and all the announcements are in Spanish. Doesn't matter where you are. The town is just that way. And one time, I guess this was like in the 70s, somebody called my dad's office, and everybody started speaking in Spanish, and he responded in Turkish, and the person was like, well, what are you talking about? He's like, look, man, if you're gonna speak Spanish, I'm gonna speak Turkish back to you, because we're in America. You need to speak English. I had to learn it. You should too. That's what he tell this person, because it used to make him mad. He's like, if you're gonna come here, you need to speak English. So I've always been kind of stuck with that mindset too about that. I do agree that you should. I mean, I think it's great to learn Spanish, and I used to speak a lot better years ago. But I do think people should speak English. And I hate when there's this argument about that too. It's like that is it's just America.
It just seems foolish. It seems foolish to argue that.
Yeah, it always has to me too. I don't know why we why people want to debate that. I mean, just like, come here, everybody speaks English. Like if I go to Germany, my dad lived in Germany for a while. You got to learn German. I mean, that's just the way it is. So.
Yeah. And I mean, I get it. My heart bleeds for these people who are kind of getting caught in the crossfires and who have lived here for years and who have worked and who did come here because they want a better life for them and their family. Yeah. It's just such a hard line. And I do think there should be a way to make sure those people are not just immediately sent back or sent away. Because of, I don't know that any of them have actually worked at Home Depot for 20 years, but if there is one out there, I don't think we should just, deport him. But, I do think you take your chances,
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It truly is. I mean, it always is what it is, but this is one of the things, it's like, hey, that you roll the dice and sometimes you crap out and sometimes you win. And if you I'm just gonna be honest, if you got here illegally and you were here for 20 years and you got to go back, it's like somebody that escapes from prison for 20 years and then has to go back to jail. Hey, at least you had 20 years free. So I know it's kind of an asshole statement, but it is what it is.
Yes. And
can I hijack the show for just a second?
Absolutely.
I want to circle back.
Out over the one show to now. I'm going to call my buddy that's working at Home Depot for the last 20 years.
Well, I thought y'all deserved an opportunity to flesh that out a little bit without a commercial break or without running out of time. And because I thought y'all did a great job with it today, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And if y'all aren't listening to Shaun and Lindsey 12 to 1 every day on WYAB, I encourage you to do it or go back and check it out on YouTube. And I think they're going to start uploading the audio only podcast too, with no commerocials or with the commercials edited out for the blank space or whatever. So
we're not going there.
Tomorrow be about abortion.
We really would kill each other in the studio if it went there.
So look, Shaun, I got a video queued up over there in the queue. If you would pull that up.
Is it?
I didn't do this justice last night because I felt like a pile of crap with just a migraine headache. I want to go back to Pennsylvania in the field last year, 1 year ago yesterday, when Trump got shot. And I just want to play this. It's only a minute and a half, just for context and then I want to discuss what America avoided on multiple levels, not just potentially having a Democrat president, but the strife and the war that would have broke out amongst ourselves for decades. Anyway, let's play this and then I will get into my rant.
Oh, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Ready? Move! Up! Move! Go! Up! Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's here. Move it to the stair. Stair, get ready. Stair, get ready. We ready? Down. Down. Are we good? Shooters down. Shooters down. Are we good to move? Shooters down. We're good to move. We're clear. We're clear. Let's move. Let's move. We're clear. Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes. I got you, sir. I got you, sir. Let me get my shoes, sir. Hold that in your head. It's bloody. So we got to move to the bus. Let me get my shoes. Okay, my shoes down. My shoes. Watch out. Wait.
Can we just appreciate that for a moment? What he got? I mean, because Shaun, y'all know I was going through a really bad time personally this time last year when that happened. And it's like I couldn't really appreciate the moment because I was going through my own personal crap. And you go back, or when I say appreciate the moment, appreciate the gravity of the situation. You go back and you watch that. And I was actually listening to it, not watching it. Or Clay Travis played the video on his Outkick show today. And I was listening to it while I was working out, not even visual, not even seeing it. And I was just playing it in my mind, visualizing that moment. And every second of it is just time stamped in my brain visually. And to think of what America avoided, how badass Trump was getting up and the whole, let me get my shoes, and then the fight thing and the crowd erupting. And it's just insane. But here's what we avoided, especially given the fact of what we don't know about the shooter and how everything in the house was bleached, clean, thrown away, the whole 9 yards, and all the little conspiracy leaves that have dropped everywhere. You think the Kennedy stuff is a conspiracy theory? Could you imagine this being caught on film like that and everything, all the different angles, cell phones, this, that, and the other? They'd make the Zapruder film look like a photo, look like us doing it or something. I don't know. I can't think of a good analogy. But we have, and then the war that would have broken out in this country amongst ourselves, because the right would have absolutely been convinced that Joe Biden and the Democrats had Trump killed. There would have been no debate.
You're talking about if he had been killed?
Yeah.
Yeah, if he had died.
If he died.
There's another video.
It would have been really bad. It would have been very bad.
Absolutely. It would have been terrible.
There's another video from the hospital. I don't know if y'all remember seeing that video from the hospital as they're bringing him in, and the people inside the hospital are just beside themselves, hoping and praying. That video to me was just as moving, seeing those people in that hospital, in that waiting room, just being beside themselves, praying that they were going to bring him in alive.
Yeah, it would, regardless if how to put it this way, regardless of him winning or not, I'm just saying, like, let's say he lived and Kamala won. I know you guys would think that'd be bad. I get it, but I'm not going. That's not where I'm trying to go with this. I'm just saying him dying there would have created a huge, just a massive upheaval in the country. That would have been catastrophic.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah, I'm removing political affiliations from this. I'm just saying, if the leading candidate for the president of the United States dies in that moment, and keep in mind, he didn't announce JD till the next day or till like that Monday.
Something like that.
Yeah, it was a few days later.
But that was on a Saturday.
Sure. And
he didn't announce JD. Because if we go back and listen to JD on Joe Rogan's podcast, which is one of the best podcasts in all of these political interviews that he's done, JD telling the story about watching that with his family and going and getting a gun and locking the doors because he didn't have Secret Service protection at that point.
Oh, I'll be real honest. I don't even know that Trump had picked yet at that point. I think Trump waited until the very last minute. And I think, what was it, Monday or Tuesday? This happened on a Saturday, and I think it was Monday or Tuesday when JD was announced. And I don't think JD knew until the moment the showed up to get him. I'd
have to go back and listen to the podcast again, but my memory serves me correct. Trump had called him right before and was like, well, let's just, because JD put his kid on the phone with him and stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he had, Trump had asked his kid, could he, they told his kid that his dad was going to be the vice president or something to that effect or whatever.
Would that happen on Saturday?
Yeah.
I think he waited until really, really close to before he announced. I mean, everyone thought he knew and he wasn't announcing. We were all on pins and needles on the edge of our seat waiting to hear who it was going to be.
Well, he had told him to come to Butler with him and he said, no, let's wait till Monday or whatever. And so JD wasn't in Butler because he said, well, let's just wait till like the Monday or whenever to announce. And they ended up announcing right before the convention was started. So I had to go back and look at the exact timeline. They ended up announcing right after. But my point being is, if Trump had gotten killed, there was not a VP announcement yet. We don't know who we would have ended up with as a candidate. And then I don't even know that it matters. And I hate to minimalize it, but
it would have gone to
the floor, the convention, the
delegates. But it would have ended up being, what's her name?
Nikki Haley.
I don't know. Stayed in, right? I don't know.
I think it would have been Nikki Haley.
Well, that's possible. I don't disagree with that. But I'm saying, I think what you would have had was a floor fight over it. You know what I mean? I think you could have had a real floor fight over who was going to be the nominee. I think you're right. I mean, Nikki would have been the front runner because she had the second most delegates, I guess. But it doesn't mean that the delegates would have had to commit to her because Trump was already going to be the nominee. So I think.
But how did they make delegates?
MAGA would have never accepted her.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
but I mean, you have had 3 days to come. I mean, all of our delegates were already on their way to Wisconsin.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
just a shit show.
in the old days, that happened a lot where like it would just be a draft somebody at the convention, the way the conventions worked.
I think
So
that's what should have happened instead of making Kamala. They should have gone to the floor at the DNC.
Yeah, I said that. I think that's what they needed was
that's what they should have done.
And actually would have got them a lot of publicity too. Like people would have actually wanted to watch the convention if there was a fight for the Democrats. But no, that's the way the conventions used to work, and there would be a floor fight. So I think you would have seen that. So it could have been anybody. It could have been Ron DeSantis. It could have been Vivek. I mean, it could have been anybody.
But if anybody thought January 6th was violent, imagine had Trump been killed that day in Butler.
It would have been a civil war. As close to a civil war as it would just, they think the right is violent. They ain't seen nothing. We avoided a massive upheaval.
Yeah. That would have been guns in the streets.
Yeah, that would have been really bad.
I want to be careful about what I say because I don't want their AI programs to think I'm calling for violence. I'm not.
Yeah.
There would have been Democrats and liberals unalived all over this country by crazy people if that had happened.
Oh yeah, that believed that
there would have been eye for an eye.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There would have been a bunch of eyes for an eye.
And
I'm not encouraging that. I'm just saying what would have happened.
But I think we all saw that. We saw as people see their life flash before their eyes. I think as we all sat there and watched this bullet buzz Trump's ear, we all saw but what could happen in a split second before our eyes, and like the trauma and the chaos that would bring, the political unrest across the country. And I think it scared a lot of people. It scared me.
According to CNN, he was just escorted off the stage because he fell down.
Heck, I was with Clay in the car, and I'm a Democrat, obviously. I held my breath, like God bless, make sure he lives, just because I was thinking ahead, like, oh my God, this would be bad, this can't happen, kind of thing.
Yeah, it was one of those I ain't gonna let the terrorist win moments. I was like, no, we're going, because we had just backed out of Shaun's driveway, going out to Martin's at Livingston. They just really kind of got open. And I was like, no.
I was like, y'all are still going? Y'all are still, y'all are
like, no, we ain't letting the terrorist win. We're going out, damn it.
Yeah. I mean, it's and Jonathan, I'm acknowledging your comment now because I'm terrible at that. Obama wanted that for he is right about that. I read that in several books now. Obama did not want Kamala just to be anointed. He was the holdout, and
neither did Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, those two did not want.
They really wanted there to be some sort of floor fight out for who the candidate would be. And there should have been.
Yeah.
Might have given. Well, maybe there shouldn't have been. I'm kind of glad.
I'm glad there wasn't.
Me too. Want a better candidate.
Let's save that for 28. I think the Democrats, Shaun, you've said this before. The Democrats had to scratch their black girl itch.
I think that was, before all this happened and people, I think there was
the wrong one.
Well, even in 2022, they were talking about if Biden doesn't run, who could it be? And the consensus with the Democrats was it has to be Kamala. I heard that from so many Democrats saying,
why?
And I'm like, well, because of what Clay just said, there was this, like, if you pass her up, you're going to,
it's going to be because you're racist or you're sexist
and what dumb group think, because then you went ahead with that and you got your ass
she
kicked.
Wasn't because they hid her the entire time Biden was in office.
For good reason, obviously. You saw her campaign. It wasn't very good.
But obviously, I think you should have hidden Biden and put her kind of out.
They tried to hide Biden though, and that didn't work. And then look, when he came forward, look what happened at that debate.
Well, to be honest, I don't even know if that's really the same Biden.
I know. Look, I have tried since becoming friends with Shaun to really not jump straight to believe in every conspiracy theory, especially the super duper crazy ones. But those are the ones that I tend to believe the most because
it looks a lot different.
Truth is stranger than fiction. And man, they make a good argument for that being a fake Joe Biden.
They really do. I think there's several deep fakes. I really do.
Well, with the new mask technologies and stuff they have. And the fact that his face was all pulled back and there were some different scars and stuff. And there's a bunch of weird stuff. We ain't got to get into it because I don't want to sound like a crazy person. But if it ever came out that the Biden that we saw on screen for the last year of his presidency wasn't really Joe Biden, I'd be the least surprised person in the room.
Same here.
You guys talking about the Biden at the debate with Trump, that Biden being a fake Biden?
If that was a fake Biden, then
the Biden at the debate. Are you guys saying the Biden at the debate was a fake Biden?
They rolled the real one out for that debacle.
That's what I was saying, because if it was a fake, they really did.
No, it actually could have been a fake Biden because maybe they had a plan for maybe I don't know who was pulling the strings, but maybe they had a plan for making sure they could get someone else as the nominee. I don't know.
I mean,
look, nothing surprises me at this point.
I'm just saying, if it was a fake Biden at the debate, they should have made a better one because the one they put out was pretty defective.
But maybe that's what they wanted. Maybe they wanted the world to say, "Oh, we don't need Biden for a second term."
Yeah, I guess so. But I don't know.
Who knows?
Okay, what's our next?
Yeah, so I wanted to the reason for resetting that video is I didn't feel like I gave it my true thought last night, and I wanted to kind of reset that and kind of put that out there and give it the justice that it deserved from my perspective and kind of have a conversation about it, because it truly was an iconic moment that I think will way outlive the political leanings of anybody as we get 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the road. And I think some of the polarization of Trump kind of dies down as he dies eventually from old age, and history remembering him differently. Because I mean, just over the last 5 years since January 6th, history has remembered him quite differently, to go from insurrection and all of that stuff to winning the popular vote. So I think that we'll see this shooting be remembered quite differently historically. I think you'll see statues of this eventually, depending on how the next 4 years go. Again, I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater on this whole Epstein stuff. I don't like it. It stinks. But I can take one bad thing, I mean, and it's a terrible thing, that I think will get rectified in some form, fashion, or another, because say what you want about Trump, but he does read the room, and he knows when people are pissed off at him, and he doesn't like people not liking him. I believe he will make this right, but he is sticking with Pam Bondi, and say what you want about that. I do respect him not rolling her under the bus and saying screw her. So I do like him sticking with her, even though I do think she needs to go. But it's hard to point the finger at her because she's doing his bidding. But I don't know. I'm quite conflicted on it.
Yeah, no, I get it. Shaun, pull up what I just sent you from 2 years ago today that I just sent to your Gmail.
No, shout out to Truth Unfiltered YT. Says, you can't sound crazy to people who believe the same as you. Me, I sound crazy. Much love from down the road. Thank you, my friend.
I don't have it. You didn't send it to me.
I did.
Well, it's not there.
Well,
what is it?
I was going to show y'all where Trump was 2 years ago today, which was standing right next to me. You know?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, where were we on there? I lost my train of thought.
Well, yesterday, Trump went like literally to the minute of when he got shot. Yesterday, 1 year to the minute, he was handing Chelsea Football Club some kind of World Cup type trophy, some kind of championship trophy on the field. I guess they played a Euro League soccer tournament final or something or another in America, and Trump's in the award ceremony with the trophy and all that. It almost looks like a meme, but it's real. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Listen, Pam Bondi was there too, wasn't she? I think Pam Bondi was there. So they kind of gave you.
I think so too. I think I saw that. I think she was standing there with him. Yeah.
So, but I don't know I saw something about the trophy. I guess I can't remember exactly what it was about though. But I know there was some remarks about how, look, Pam Bondi went to FIFA with Trump, so she's good, that kind of thing. But I don't know, not to go down the Epstein rabbit hole again and again and again.
Well, it's a good one to go down.
It is, but I mean, this thing is hitting so hard that
nobody's laying off of it at all either. I mean,
we shouldn't. We need to stay on this. Look, again, I'm ride or die Trump. But we got to stay on this because America deserves to. We got to trust our government at some point. We got to trust, maybe not our government. Well, he is our government. He's the president. He's the epitome of our government.
But he's supposed to be the one that's going to expose the government.
Yes. Yeah. He's got to make it this right. They got to clean this mess up one way or another.
Well, I was listening to the people at Turning Point this weekend that were the conservative conference in Tampa, I believe. And the kind of outrage from just individuals that were there is amazing, especially the younger crowd.
It is. It was their teen conference, right, Lindsay?
It was their teen conference.
Yeah.
I tried desperately to get my oldest one to go, but she said
Charlie Kirk has already come out and said he's not going to talk about it anymore. He's already been put back in line.
Yeah, I think Trump had a talk with him.
Do you think that we'll see what's his name say the same? Fox, Tucker. Well, we see. I don't think Tucker will say that.
Yeah, Tucker's probably not going to capitulate. It didn't seem
No,
like
Tucker went off at the thing.
Yeah,
did. I
yeah.
saw that.
Tucker's mad.
And all roads lead back to Israel. And Tucker made such a great point. He didn't say Israel derangement syndrome, but he kind of got to that point. He's like, we're not even allowed to suggest that Epstein worked for Mossad.
Mhm.
He's like, they're calling that anti-Semitic. No, it's not anti-Semitic.
Everything's anti-Semitic these days.
It is like, it's like, again, I brought this up the other night. Anti-Semitic is the new racist, but they beat racist to death and made it mean nothing. So now it's, well, you know what? You're anti-Semitic. Like, no, questioning Israel isn't anti-Semitic. I say the same thing about racism. It's racist to treat somebody differently than somebody else because they're different or because they're of a different race or a different ethnicity or religion or whatever. To me, that's racist or whatever you want to call it. Because if you do handle somebody with kid gloves because they're different, I thought equality meant handling everybody and treating everybody 100% equal for better or for worse.
Yeah,
so holding Israel to the same standard we hold ourselves to, that ain't racist. That ain't anti-Semitic.
I don't feel like we should have a problem being upset with someone pulling us into wars constantly.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think also I'll use the Jackson analogy because it kind of fits here with this. So when we were, especially you and I, Clay, crapping on Jackson all the time and hitting Jackson hard, it wasn't because it was a majority black city. It's because it was ran crappy. Like they did a horrible job. Chokwe Lumumba's administration was just probably the worst in the history of the city. Maybe one of the worst in the history of the country, actually. I mean, it was that bad. And we don't have to go through the laundry list of things, but it was so many bad things. I think when you criticize the state of Israel, it doesn't mean you're criticizing Jews. It means you're criticizing the Israeli government. Yeah. Who has had a lot of problems. And I think that's what Tucker is saying. He's not criticizing Jews. He's criticizing the government of Israel. But I think that's where people get lost in it. Like if you're criticizing Jackson, you're automatically criticizing black people. And if you're criticizing the government of Israel, you're criticizing Jews. That's not really true.
Well, also think
I've been battling for 5 years, 6 years.
American Christians have been guilted into believing that they cannot ever say anything that would come across sounding as if they are anti-Israel, no matter what that might be, because they're God's chosen people. And, that's been drilled into American Christians' heads for so long. But is this the same Israel?
That's a good point. It's
no, it's not.
No, it's not.
And America didn't exist when the Bible was written either. Those who bless Israel will be blessed. And I think we talked about this the other night, but when Ted Cruz came out and said that he was going to be Israel's congressman or senator or whatever, and Tucker said, well, what about Texas?
Well, yeah, he doesn't really care about that much. I mean, he's always on vacation when there's a problem there. So.
Who is?
Ted Cruz. He was in Europe during during the ice storms. He was in Cancun with his that's where the Flying Ted nickname comes from.
It still blew my mind that he couldn't reference the biblical scripture that he was falling back on constantly during the interview.
I won't bust his balls too bad for that. I mean, I call myself a Christian, and I can't quote a single Bible verse verbatim, so I'm not going to be too hard on him for that.
Okay, Clay, but you're not going to sit down with Tucker Carlson and defend Israel and say that it's because God told you to in the Bible, and then not know the scripture. That's
yeah. Well, true enough. I mean, you're not wrong at all, but I will give him a bit of a pass on that. But I think he's wrong as hell on a lot of stuff. I guess that particular thing doesn't necessarily get sand in my craw, but I get why it does bother people, and I get why Tucker called him out. I guess I try not to be too much of a hypocrite there from my own perspective, because I say a lot of things based on being a Christian, and I sin every day. So.
Well, yeah, and that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant by, I just meant.
I know what Lindsey meant.
If you're gonna,
I know what you meant. That's why I'm not calling you out at all. I'm calling myself out here. This is one of them things that I guess I didn't get too up in arms about, but I understand why it made him look bad. I guess.
Well, I don't know the scripture either, but yet, like I said a minute ago, I've been taught as a American Christian, defend Israel, God's chosen people. You can't back down.
I think that, I think the phrase you just said right there is very problematic, as people would say. And again, this isn't pointed at you, but the fact that we've separated ourselves as American Christians, and I think there should be no such thing as an American Christian or a European Christian or a Chinese, or they're not Christian in China. But the fact that we as American Christians, we have had it beaten our heads that it's our job to defend Israel. I'm curious if the Catholic Church preaches that in other countries like it is here.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I didn't mean it as though just us. And I don't know because I've only lived in America. But do other Christians in other countries, is that preached to them the same way it is to us about Israel?
You mean like more like it's maybe more of an evangelical Christian kind of issue than it is like Catholic issue?
That's not what I meant. I meant all I know is being an American because that's the only place I've ever lived.
But Christians in Germany, for example, Shaun, are they having it clubbed upside their head in church that they have to defend Israel?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. But the reason I brought up,
are they? I don't know.
There's a difference between like evangelical Christians and evangelical Protestant Christians and Catholics. So I wonder if you look at Catholics as a group, I've not seen them push the Israel thing the way I've seen evangelical Christian groups do it. Since the 1970s, particularly, there's some really good podcasts about this that like a few years ago.
The Baptist, for example,
that's
really ride the Israel thing.
Exactly. It's not. I don't think it's as much a Catholicism thing as it is evangelical thing.
Okay, so it's not necessarily where you live in a country. It's more as that's the religion that you or the denomination that you.
Yeah, I think right, exactly. Like, and there's more evangelical Christians in the United States than there are worldwide. I think we've got the biggest concentration of that. So I think that's more of that sect of it than it is like Catholic. In Italy, I don't think they're all Catholics. I don't think they're pushing the Israel train the same way evangelical Christians are.
Well, that's what I was meaning about. I guess I didn't necessarily say that the right way, American Christian. I just meant as lived here my whole life and been a Christian my whole life, and that's what's been drilled into my brain. I don't know about other areas if it's the same there, but I know that that's always what I've been told.
Right. No, I mean, and that's right, because you went to a Southern Baptist church, right? And that's part of it. It's always been part of that. Actually, and like that movement did start in the 1970s. It got really pushed here about protect Israel, because, before it wasn't necessarily that way. And not to do the history lesson here, dork, I know that I am, but there was a big fight in the late 40s if we were even going to recognize the state of Israel. Now, there was a lot of sympathy because of what happened in the Holocaust, but Truman was in a little war about that. Even George Marshall, the great George Marshall, who's, was a general in World War II and the Marshall Plan, all that, he quit the administration over it. Like, it was a problem because there were a lot of Americans that did not think that we should recognize the state of Israel and that we should push the Palestinians out. Like, it was at that point in history, it was, and we're only talking about, I guess that's like 70-something years ago, 75 years ago. So like that shifted over time into what we're seeing now, though.
Yeah. Grape-Hilled. Shout out to Grape-Hilled. Figured out who he was in real life today. Kind of put the pieces together. I won't go into that on here, but shout out to you, brother. Keep up the good fight. He says, where'd it go here?
They definitely push Israel in other countries like they do here.
Thank you. I'd missed it there. And that's good to know. And we need to get him on sometime. He does a bunch of really cool stuff. We'll discuss it later. But Grape-Hilled, if you're interested, we'd love to have you zoom in with us one night. Grok, my buddy Breacher says, per Grok, the Bible doesn't explicitly command people to defend the modern state of Israel.
Right.
It was written long before the nation was established in 1948.
That's what I was saying. We read this biblically, and we're taught this biblically, or at least a lot of us are in America in Southern Baptist churches, like I grew up in. But is that the same? That's what I was saying earlier. Is that the same Israel today? And this subject must be touching a lot of people because the comments are flooding in.
Sure. Well, I think here's what I love about living in this current age that we're in is you're seeing a lot of people wake up and call things out from both sides. And I know y'all brought this up last night, and I've heard a bunch of other podcasters bring this up in the last week. This Epstein thing, it woke up a bunch of people who were not politically involved. And this is what brought them into politics or brought them into the culture war or whatever you want to call it. And it's been really unique to watch. And these are the same people who are also kind of, I would say they lean conservative, but these are the same people who are quote unquote conservative and calling out the Israel stuff and maybe not being as anti-Palestine or Muslim as the traditional right, the evangelical right would want you to be, even though they would never preach being anti-Muslim, but wink, wink, you know what I'm saying? It's just always kind of post 9/11 been like, any other religion, these are the bad guys, these are the terrorists. You believe that or you're going to hell. And I just think that's changing. The winds are blowing a different direction. I think people are like, well, you're going to have to show me a little bit here. It's interesting. It's a lot of people waking up, and everybody doesn't fit in this nice little left box or right box. There is a big box in the middle that it's like, you're going to have to, we're kind of all from the show me state a little bit here. You're going to show me why I should do this, not just tell me because I said so or because I've dictated the Bible as saying that we must defend Israel till our death. I don't know, man. I mean, how many more of our young men do we have to send into these wars to defend Israel?
Yeah.
I mean, I could go on and on and on.
No. I mean, I think it's because even 10, 15 years ago, if people had spoke out like they're doing now, I mean, you would have been kicked out of politics. There's no way you could say the things that Marjorie Taylor Greene or Tucker Carlson are saying now and not just be like canceled. They're just, I mean, you'd be done. So it is amazing how that's shifted over the years. And I did see a number today that it said 50% of conservatives under 50 have a problem with our support of the state of Israel. 50% now. That's an amazing number. I mean, 50% under 50. So that tells you where it's evolved to since since this whole pro-Israel movement has moved along in the country.
Yeah.
And what I would hate to see is our Jewish be attacked. I never want to see that happen. But just because someone doesn't agree with America's stance on Israel or the current administration stance that Jewish people in our country who live in our country are being attacked. I definitely don't ever I hate seeing that because it is happening.
Where have they been attacked in America?
Well, that couple that was supposed to get engaged when they were here and they were killed right in front of the what was it, Shaun?
The embassy.
The embassy. Yeah, I mean, I have a really good friend who is Jewish and she has definitely seen some backlash. In fact, they started to dox all of us online. There was an account that began doxing us and putting our homes out there. And we thought it was because we were connected to Moms for Liberty, and come to find out it was because we were on her friends list on Facebook, and they were doxing everyone associated with her because she was Jewish. So, I mean, it is happening. I mean, I've seen it personally.
I mean, I would say though, it's not like anti-Semitism is anything new. It's always existed. I mean, since the dawn of time, actually. It's just, unfortunately, it's just been one of those things that's happened. But I mean, you're right. There's been a resurgence. There was that synagogue shooting in 2018, I think, in Chicago, the horrible one. And then recently there were 2 embassy workers, as well as there's been some other incidents recently. I think didn't the guy that was shooting people in front of in Denver a few months ago, wasn't he trying to shoot at Jewish people?
He wasn't shooting people. He was throwing Molotov cocktails on people. If my memory serves me correct. Oh yeah, that's right. And look, I'm not saying I wasn't questioning it in the sense of I didn't believe it's happening.
Yeah,
I guess I was just thinking bigger event. But people are being attacked because of their religion. And what's crazy about it is the fact that there's a lot of people who want to sweep it under the rug on both sides and pretend it's not happening. And like from the Democrat perspective, they're very pro-Islam, pro-Muslim, and they want to pretend that the nation of peace, the religion of peace, can do no wrong. And then on the right, it's we don't want to cause hysteria. I don't know, man. It's a weird living in some weird times when it comes to this, because people that you think are going to think one way, you try to put people in a box. I just keep going back to that. You try to put people in a box and like, no, I'm not believing that crap. We're going to have to do better than this. It's interesting. I mean, I know I've got wildly different beliefs on it now than I did 15, 20 years ago.
Well, I tell you what, the left and the right are both doing. There's a lot of them are doing a stupid thing on this issue completely. And so here's what I say. First of all, on the right, they're trying to pretend like there isn't a genocide going on in Gaza. And if you look at anything or read anything about what's going on every day, the Israelis have pushed this thing to a point that is gone. Actually, it's just disgusting at this point, what their retaliation on it. Now, the left's problem is what they do is they say what you just said. Islam is religion of peace. No, it's not. Like, look, my dad's Muslim. I'm going to say this. I don't care. I'm not, trying to offend anybody, but there is a big section of that religion that has an issue, because we've seen it time and again. There's a huge part of Muslims that get radicalized in the Middle East. People get radicalized online and they commit terrorist acts. You got to accept the reality of it. That's why we had to deal with this for so many years. So it's not, I'm not saying I'm anti-Muslim either. Definitely I can't be. I mean, my dad is, But I mean, not all Muslims are terrorists. Yes, that's true. But there's a lot of them that are. And you just have to recognize that. And just like people have to recognize what the Israelis are doing in Gaza is a genocide. It is happening. And, you know, I know it's comfortable positions that people don't want to see or say, but it just is what it is.
Yeah, I love this conversation, but we're getting super chats. So, Clay, you want to read those? I think we should probably read the super chats.
Yeah. Well, they didn't really say anything.
Yeah,
Well, I
that's
guess
right.
I can't. You got to highlight them and put them on the screen. I can't do it.
Can you
Okay.
do you know how to do that?
How do
We've never gotten super chats before. This makes me excited.
how does that function work? Yes, I don't know.
You just go to the chat box and just double click it or click it and it should pop up on the screen.
Okay.
Do you see the
Yeah, I gotta scroll down here for
like they're gonna be big and highlighted.
Okay. All right. So bear with me, y'all. I'm so that this is one's new for me too.
They're actually not big and highlighted on the.
Are they not? Oh, I'm looking at my iPad. So, well, I can read them. So, Peekaboo says, I'll be the first to step out and drop some support. Blessings to Shaun and Lindsey. Thanks for your super chat, Peekaboo.
Screw you, Dan. I've been putting up with your shit for about 6 years now. And
Miss Angela over at the Mike magazine said, hope this get the money to jump in tonight.
I got it now.
Thank you for your I don't know who AB is, but thank you, AB, for your
We're going to show
chat.
yours. I've just figured it out. I figured the ticket to this. So here we go. Here's another one. Thanks, Mike magazine. Hope this get the money to jump in tonight. Okay, I don't know. We'll try. We promise we'll try, definitely. No, Jonathan, we're trying. We're just new at this because we haven't got them before. So I will definitely. When you're talking about money, that's when I wake up. Like we're, that's like, oh, people sending money. Oh, okay, you guys. That's all you got to tell me. That's
Well, we were talking about that earlier. I was like, we got to figure out a way to get these super chats going. I was like, at the end of the day, as much as I like doing this, I would like to figure out a way to monetize this a little bit.
Yeah, that always makes things better, right?
It definitely gets me motivated to continue doing this every night.
Dan says he's sending you one now, Clay. So he just wanted to make up for.
I mean, I don't think we're monetized. I think they all go to Clay right now because we're not monetized.
Clay's making all the money. There you go.
Well, I'm over here just trying to find. I'm in the dashboard on YouTube. I found out how to view in the dashboard the other night. But anyway, let's not take away from the show. What else we got?
Yeah.
Well, before this was one of the headlines for the show. So there's been this guy. I don't know if y'all are following the Corey Faraz case. Now, the Hattiesburg Patriot has been on this, and so is Kingfish. And I think they're actually warring.
Clay, get your belt out. Get your belt out.
They're actually warring with the. With the story, it seems a bit. I'm sure I'm going to get a text from Kingfish in 2 seconds. But so there's an attorney in Hattiesburg that stole. It looks like apparently this lady's money in a automobile settlement. So her husband was killed and he filed a wrongful death claim and settled with the insurance company for $450,000. And it looks like to me that he kind of absconded with all the money. Is that what you read too, Lindsay?
Yeah. And if you didn't know what absconded means, it means you just kind of like run away with it.
We absconded with the money. And here, I'll put it up real quick. So he just, he is, so then he went on the run. And now he just turned himself in today, and he's caught. So his attorney incarcerated now, and so he turned himself into the court finally because the chancellor in Perry County has ordered that he pay $195,000 back. I guess he paid half of it, and then now he's supposed to pay the rest of it. But he just took off, and an arrest warrant was issued for him several weeks ago. But and he went to Alabama and it just disappeared. But the interesting thing about the story is that this ain't this guy's first rodeo. So he's currently indicted, and this kind of will tack off to another thing. He's currently indicted for doing the same thing to other clients or embezzling money. In 2021, they just have not been able to find a special prosecutor to finish off the case. So this guy's been, indicted for doing this, and he's still practicing law, and he does it again. And this woman that he did to apparently is indigent, has no money, so she's like destitute out there. And they finally apprehended, he turned himself in, so he's caught now. He also has an interesting thing, and I'm going to show you all a video about this, where he was, I think, charged with voter fraud a few years ago while he was running for the state Senate, which is kind of funny that he while he voted in some place he was not supposed to supposed to vote for because he was living in Hattiesburg. I think he voted.
Yeah, that's right. The fellow that runs the Hattiesburg Patriot called me up the other day and kind of gave me a crash course on this whole thing because I was completely oblivious to all of it. And then I talked to you about it, and it really put it on my radar some. And you sent me these stories today, and I did read them between workout sets, so I'd be a little up to date on it. So it was interesting because it made me really appreciate that phone call I got from the fellow at Hattiesburg Patriot because, oh yeah, I do know about this. So, but I haven't talked about it on my show because I just didn't want to, I try to be real careful about talking about things that I don't know about because I don't want to sound, stupid. So this has been one of the things I've kind of not mentioned because I just wasn't that damn familiar with it. But this is wildly interesting that he was able to get away with this for as long as he has. And Shaun, I don't want to steal your thunder here, but I want you to explain after we play this, how does one play the legal system so hard and get away with it so long? I mean, like at what point do they start taking your law license from you?
It's, that's been one of the big criticisms of the Mississippi bar is that they let a lot of this kind of go under the radar. And it kind of goes, when we're talking about, Jody Owens still being the Hinds County DA, and he's not suspended in any, capacity where after he made those statements about fixing cases or potentially doing so, where he's now still the chief prosecutor in Hinds County. And everybody knows that he's got this federal indictment where he's got these recordings saying these things, but nothing's happening. Well, this guy, he had, like I said, he'd been indicted for this conduct, which doesn't mean he's convicted. So, I mean, I guess that's the way the bar's looking at it. He's not convicted yet, but I mean, he's been indicted for doing what now he did again, apparently, with this case.
Did you mention that I want to make sure I say allegedly here because I don't want this guy suing me. Did he mention that he allegedly stole $450,000 from this lady?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So he had settled a wrongful death case. Her husband was killed in a car wreck, and it was settled for $450,000. So he took that money, but eventually he deposited about $214,000 of it with the Chancery Court on June 27th. This is after the arrest warrant had been issued for him. This is after he took off. So he took that, and then he told the court, well, I'm supposed to be able to keep the other half, essentially. And the court's saying, no, I told you to put the $450,000 in this account. And
he also wrote her a bad $25,000 check.
That's right.
And he took that back out of the $240,000 or whatever he dropped in there. I mean, this guy's a complete shitbag. And I'm not going to say allegedly. He's just a complete shitbag to do this. And that lady is literally, Kingfish brought up the point and says she truly is indigent. She doesn't even have an air conditioner right now. I mean, I ain't, I'm balling on a budget to say the least, but I don't know how much it costs to fix her air or what the problem is with her air conditioner, but I want to find out and try to get this lady's air conditioning damn fixed for her. I mean, she's living down there without an air conditioner, a widow.
That is miserable. That is miserable.
Yeah.
Sir.
No, I mean,
we ain't got to explain to people in Mississippi how bad it sucks for your air not to work.
Well, and then, I mean, this isn't like his only, other than the indictment he's got from 21. Now he also was like running for the Senate. And this is what happened here when they found out about that.
A Hattiesburg man who ran unsuccessfully for state representative earlier this year has been indicted on voter fraud charges. 28-year-old Corey Perez surrendered to authorities Monday following a Lowndes County indictment charging him with 2 counts of voter fraud. Now, according to the indictments, Perez filled out a false application for an absentee ballot and for casting a ballot outside his legal voting district. He could face 5 years behind bars.
I mean, he's this guy is really something else. I mean, think about it. Like, he's at 28. He's committing voter fraud, and then he's already, because I looked at his law license. He got it in 2014, so he's not even 40 yet. He's like 35, 36. And I mean, this guy's this guy's a young, smooth criminal, allegedly. And,
I mean, what is he doing with all this money? Is he in drugs? I mean,
I'm gonna guess living outside his means, like most people do like this. They get a little taste of it, and they think they can pay it back. He thinks he's going to win another case, and borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. And next thing you know, you've gotten in above your skis, and you get time to pay the Reaper, and he couldn't. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that's exactly what happened. Maxed out credit cards. I bet if you go look at his credit and his financial situation, you're going to see maxed out everything. And he was living outside his means, big balling, and thought he would win another case. I bet you're going to find somewhere in his legal ramblings that he was working on another big case, probably ain't come through yet, or he lost it, or he was anticipating being able to replace that money.
Sean, have you ever like thought like that? Like I could take that.
No. I mean, I don't want to cuss, but I'd be scared shitless. When it comes to clients' money, like I'm very studious, and there's no way that I could do that. But I see, over the years I've seen attorneys that have done things like this, and it kind of goes to what Clay was just saying. It's because they start balling too hard. And the money's coming too easy. And they're like, okay, I can replace it. I can take this client's money out of the trust account. I can do this because it's always going to come. There's always going to be more. And then they finally hit a wall. And then it's like, that's when everything, all the dominoes start falling for him. So one of the indictments that he settled a case for $650,000, which is a pretty good sum, right? And his attorney's fees were $260,000. So I imagine that you got a lick that you're making $260,000. And he owed his firm like $52,000 of it, and he didn't even pay him that. He just deposited all his own account. I mean, because this guy was he was getting some decent business in some cases because he's making $260,000 here, another few $100,000 here. The guy's doing okay.
You can't be doing too well when you're writing bad checks.
No, I mean, because like Clay was just saying, I mean, he wouldn't ball too hard, and he's just blowing it as he goes, and he's not. I mean, he's obviously
Maybe
not.
He pulled a chokeway and. At the Tootsies.
I'm not saying he's not a piece of crap, but I just go on a limb here and say that I bet his intentions were not pure, obviously, but that he thought he was giving himself a loan and he was balling out, living outside his means, and it didn't go as planned. And here we are. Because I'm sure he wasn't stupid. He seems like a smart guy that just does dumb shit. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that he thought he was going to be able to replace this money. He wasn't just thinking, I'm going to steal $200,000 or whatever over his agreed upon percentage was. Yeah. He thought he was going to be able to replace that, and clearly he wasn't. And he came up with some bullshit. And if people like this, if they would spend the effort, they would spend half the effort just doing things the right way, is trying to figure out how to do things the wrong way, they would be very wealthy people. What's the old saying? Somebody would step over a dollar to steal a dime.
Yeah, we know some people like that. Right. That's
so
true.
Right now he's a wanted man, though.
No, he actually turned himself in. So now he's incarcerated. And the judge said, if you're going to, we're not letting you out until you pay that $195,000 that's left owed on this. So the judge is keeping him.
Steps up.
Yeah. I wonder if he's got the money, it's probably, I'm sure it's, gone on cocaine and hookers. In my assumption, I don't know that. Allegedly that's where generally the money goes with these guys. But and you can see, I mean, he was running a good little scam here. Like I went to his website earlier today, and he's got it's just kind of like when you know that he's done all this stuff and you read this, you're like, God, what BS. Here he is, meet your Mississippi attorney. Growing up in the charm of Columbus, Corey's upbringing was steeped in tradition, refinement, and influence notably by his grandfather, who owned a renowned men's clothing store. This upbringing instilled in him the sense of etiquette and sophistication that echoes in his personal, legal, and professional lives. I mean, sorry, you're going to write some crap like that. I know you're full of shit already. Just use my French. I know that people don't like the cussing, but, it just looks like that. So that's his, and then he's got, of course, like little.
It should say, meet your Mississippi attorney who will take your money.
Experience, dedication, and Southern charm. That's his other thing. So he's lived all across the South, he says, and he's got a lot of Southern charm. Well, if that includes stealing your money, if Southern charm includes that, I guess, he's the right guy to go to here. But I mean, he's in a world of shit. Like this is not good. And there's his little videos talking about, why to hire him and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know that this website will be up for much longer, I'm assuming.
I very seriously doubt it.
It'll go down when the GoDaddy payment doesn't clear.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, like I said, this guy, he's not even 40, and he's been running this gambit for years, apparently, according to all this. And it's amazing to me. I don't know what it is. It's like I always get amazed by people that become corrupt so young. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of get it when somebody's like older. I mean, I don't get it. I don't think it's a good thing. But I'm like, how do you end up being corrupt when you're and doing unethical stuff because when you're young, you're supposed to kind of like be nervous about the rules because you don't know the system yet. You don't know how things work. And then when you get older, you kind of figure out how things, okay, I might be able to get away with this or I'm going to get away with that. But when you're that age, doing that stuff, it's just, you were just born that way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just the way you are. So.
Like Lady Gaga says.
That's what I was trying to think of. Lady Gaga, you were just born this way because, I mean, you're 28 committing voter fraud.
I was born this way.
It was like, I watched this documentary. I mean, y'all probably seen it on Roger Stone, the one on Netflix.
I love it, man. And he's a swinger.
He's a swinger. And Stone was like
just for a little salt on top.
He was
seen that.
he was like 19 and named in the Watergate investigation, which he wears as a badge of honor. You know, like that his 19-year-old was named in the Watergate investigation. So I mean, he was hitting it hard early, and I guess some people are like that.
That's wild. I do want to. So I did find the YouTube backend streaming dashboard where I can see these super chats.
I'm gonna let you read that next one because only you can do it justice.
Well, Matthew Gibson, thank you, brother. Free the land.
Free the land
for $1.99. And I want just real quick. AB, thank you for $9.99. Come on down, young son. Miss Angela, Mike Magazine, one of my favorite people, says, we've already read this, but I'm just going to get it out of my system anyway. Says, I hope this get the money to jump in the night. Hey, for $9.99, come on down. And of course, Dan White, blessing Shaun and Lindsey with $5 after taxes. I'll send them $3.
Right. Wait,
I'll have to
no tax on tips, right?
Yeah,
aren't these tips?
So there is a big debate in the YouTube streamer community about, are these going to be considered tips, or there's another term where they could technically not be considered because you're trading out a service for that. There was some technicality where they may or may not be considered tips because you could say that showing their super chat on the screen could be selling a service or, a promotion, which I call shenanigans.
I don't know.
Shenanigans.
I watched the Karen Reed trial religiously, and the law tubers who are sitting there live streaming.
That's the name for them, law tubers?
Law tubers who are sitting there live streaming these trials, and just this that are pouring in. They are making bank, I tell you.
My boy Salty Cracker is the number one, we'll just call him super chats on Rumble in the world. And then the other guy that I like a lot, Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, has his other channel called D-Day Cobra, and it's a kind of a political, it's a very political channel, but he's a Southerner. He's one of us, and he's a tech nerd and a Star Wars nerd, and he's legitimately one of us. He's a great show. Y'all need to follow D-Day Cobra on YouTube, and he's like there's times where he even beats out Tim Pool for being the number one most super chatted YouTube in the world.
Wow.
And these are like guys that doing the same exact thing we're doing.
Clay, I want to say
very well.
I don't even know what made me think of this, but you had a caller this morning who called in about the statue. Yeah. And she made the comment that, it's kind of almost seemed disrespectful for some of these white men to stand up and tell people how the black people should feel about that statue, because she was a black woman who felt a different way than what some of those speakers felt about it. And I thought that was an interesting point of view.
It's white savior syndrome. It's a thing. I may be saying it wrong. It's white savior complex. I'm sorry, not syndrome, complex. It's a thing in the white liberal community where they think that blacks can't defend themselves or can't speak for themselves and can't do anything without the help of the white liberal, which in my opinion got them in most of the bad situations they have found themselves in. But, neither here nor there.
There were a lot of black people who did speak in that meeting that I saw. So there were some people who were speaking on their own behalf, but I thought she had, her perspective was a different one, saying, why do they feel like they can tell someone how I feel as a black person?
Mm-hmm. They just assume they assume that black people are monolithic and they all think the same and move the same. And surely that if one black thinks that this is racist, they all will. And there's always going to be that spoke in that stick in the spoke that doesn't agree.
Yeah.
All right, well, guys, we got anything else? We're running up on running up on a little over an hour here. We're about an hour and 15 minutes.
Y'all did see the Supreme Court ruled with Trump.
The Department of Education.
Yes, that's a big win for me. That makes me extremely happy. I think the Department of Education should be burnt to the ground. Literally.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how much longer with AI and technology that we can continue this charade of school being worth the investment. And frankly, humans teaching humans, how much longer we're going to be able to continue that, convincing people that that's the best way, when I don't know that it's going to be once kids get beyond the basic reading, writing, arithmetic, and they get into actually having to be critical, do critical thinking. If school is going to be the best way.
They're not getting the reading, writing, arithmetic right now. I mean, we're seeing.
Oh, I agree. I'm just saying beyond that, where you truly need a human showing you, in theory, at good schools, showing you how to do it. Once you get into these other things where there's just so much crap that they're forcing people to learn that they're never going to need. They're never going to have to be critical thinking and figure it out, because everything is going to be done on some sort of device or another, that we're wasting way too much time. People waiting until people are in their mid-20s to put them out into the workforce with these degrees when they're missing 7-8 years of prime earning potential.
Yeah.
Depending on the degree.
When it comes to K through 12, I'm frustrated with this, top-down approach where we are seeing things come from the federal government. And I am excited that the Supreme Court ruled this way. This is a big debate that Shaun and I had prior to the election. And he thought that, that this is never going to be able to happen. And I told him I believed wholeheartedly that Trump would definitely push to make this happen. I think that this is an issue that should be sent back to the states. And I will be extremely glad and willing to go work with our legislature and help lay this out for the state of Mississippi. If it comes to that, I would be honored and thrilled to do so, because I think we should put our children's educations back into the hands of the state and not be listening to the federal government when it comes to how we should raise our children.
But it's still going to take an act of Congress, right, to actually just meant to end it.
We'll see. I mean, the Supreme Court is ruling, with Trump, and I mean,
I think what they said though is that he could de-staff it as president.
Yeah, but I mean, if they don't have the staff to
run
then
how does it operate run?
Yeah,
exactly. If you just don't have anybody working there, but you have the department, I guess you could do that.
Yeah, and I mean, we want to defund them. That's been a big goal of Moms for Liberty, is to defund the U.S. Department of Education and put it back into the hands of the states and back into the hands of the parents. So
I'm a big Linda McMahon fan, so whatever she's doing, I'm going to probably support. And I know, look, I'm for doing away with the Department of Education, for all the same reasons. The crap they're teaching is shenanigans, to say the least. Hey, Breacher brought up about policemen.
I found the video. Hold on. I found the video. Actually, I saw that Breacher, and I'm going to put that up on the screen right here quick for you.
I couldn't remember if it was JPD or not. For some reason, I felt like that would have jumped off the screen at me a little bit more. But I definitely remember seeing a cop getting arrested for selling
Mississippi
guns.
Police officer was arrested after he was allegedly pawning guns he stole from his department. Patrick Harris worked for the Centerville Police Department. Okay. According to the state auditor's office, Harris allegedly pawned his assigned pistol. And a few months later, he also allegedly took 2 pistols from the evidence room and pawned them as well. If Harris is convicted, he faces up to $5,000 in fines and up to 20 years in prison.
All right, pause it right there. Oh. That you see that where he's sucking on that bottom lip?
Yep.
That's the now Vision Denzel in a black Monte Carlo looking over at him like, hey, you know you done fucked up, right? You know you done fucked up. That's what he's hearing in his ear right there, is he's sucking on that bottom lip. He's hearing Denzel, little baby Denzel on his shoulder, whispering, you know you done fucked up. You know you done fucked up, right?
I just think of I probably get the quote wrong.
Sorry for the cuss words, but every now and then they're appropriate.
I think of Jody Owens in that scene, and I don't remember exactly the quote, because people on the radio a year or two ago kept saying I was wrong about something about I'm King Kong, whatever he says.
Yes.
Yes. That's the way Jody Owens came across when he said,
you know what? That's a great point. He was definitely trying to channel his inner Denzel from the, hell, I just said the name of the movie.
Training Day.
Thank you. Training Day. God, I need to go back and watch. I got that DVD actually, but I don't have a DVD player other than I don't even think my computer's got a CD-ROM, but my laptop does. Anyway, I need to go back and watch that. What a great movie.
It is King Kong ain't got shit on me. That's the exact quote. So,
hey, real quick, and we can jump off here or whatever, unless y'all got anything else. Have y'all watched Sinners yet?
No, we have not. I can't.
Y'all gotta watch it, man. It is so. I gotta say something. I had listened to Jason Whitlock's one of my favorite YouTubers, podcasters, whatever you want to call them, sports journalists, political journalists. I really jihad a lot with Jason Whitlock, and he had came out right after the movie came out, said he went to the theaters and saw it, and basically came back and said it just sells sex and it's woke and it's all these things. I'm like, well, I trust Jason. I don't care to see this movie. But then Derek, of all people, called into the show one day and brought it up and said, well, Derek, I heard it was woke or whatever. He said, no, it's not that. So I trusted Derek, and it's on Max now. It's on everything, but it's free on Max if you got it free, air quotes here. If you with your subscription, you can watch it without having to pay extra. So I thought Wednesday afternoon, I didn't feel good. That had that big style pop up on my eye, but I laid on the couch and I watched it Wednesday afternoon. And I got to say, it's one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. And Fred Shanks nailed the comparison. Said it's Crossroads with Ralph Macchio meets Dusk Till Dawn. And it is so good. And we didn't say this, but meets Mississippi Burning at the same time. It's 1920s Clarksdale, Mississippi. It's a black juke joint with vampires and the Klan and a guitar virtuoso that I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but there's a whole kind of sell his soul to the devil kind of theme. But the devil's the vampire kind of is an undercurrent. So it's got that Robert Johnson Crossroads kind of vibe to it as well. And it's, again, I don't know if it was literally filmed in Clarksdale, but it was based in Clarksdale. And they did just do a live, a showing of it up there, a premiere type thing, but because of popular demand on the internet.
They have a Jewish hero. I'm kidding.
But anyway, it's really good. Highly recommend it if you hadn't watched Sinners. I thought it was great. I mean, obviously you got to suspend your disbelief, but it put off big, like Black Dusk Till Dawn vibes. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Can't recommend it enough.
That's I was just thinking about this morning. I do want to see that, but this is like the first time in years that there's been several movies at the theaters that I actually want to go see. And I can't believe that we're like, 'cause it's been like, they just haven't been making movies. And I've heard the Brad Pitt movie F1 is supposed to be excellent.
I heard it's great. Oh, I want to say one more thing about the Sinners thing and the Jason Whitlock thing, and I'll shut up. I'm done believing people just when based on these movie reviews, when they say something. I'm really going to get back to, and I shouldn't even have to say this out loud, but I think I have gotten to where Hollywood has produced so much crap that it's easy to believe that it was a woke piece of shit. Mm-hmm. Right. But then I see it and I'm like, damn, I really wish I had gone to the movies and seen this. It's that good. I would have experienced it in the theaters, but I believed somebody I trusted and they couldn't have been more wrong. This movie was fabulous. I didn't get any political vibes. They killed some Klansmen in it. I have no problem with people killing Klansmen.
I heard Derek actually call in and say that I was pulling up to the DMV to get my license renewed. And he had called in and was saying that, and you had told him, I haven't watched it because I heard it was woke. And and Derek had said, no, it's not. It's really great. But
he was 100% right. I recommend throwing it on and enjoying it. 2 hours, easy watch. I was actually wishing it had gone a little longer because it just told a really good story, especially towards the end.
Yeah, and it's I hear the new Superman is terrific. That's not something I was really that interested in. Seeing.
I have heard from a lot of people that it really isn't that good. A lot of the people who I do trust that do, that are big into the DC, the comic book world, have said it's very meh at best.
Really?
They said there's not even, I will ruin this spoiler for everybody here, but there's not even a single scene where Superman saves Lois Lane.
Oh, okay. That's weird. That's weird. I mean, have you heard about the new Fantastic Four? Mm-mm. I heard that they are now scrapping the whole Marvel time, because I stopped watching these Marvel movies years ago. I got sick of them. Yeah, exactly. There's too many of them, and I got sick of it. So but then I heard that this is going to change it up, and I've always been a Fantastic Four fan. So
I'm with you there. They said that Superman has underperformed based on expectations too, and there is a thing where it kind of got a little woke, and I think the producer pissed off a lot of people when he said, this is a movie about an immigrant. This is an immigrant story, saying that Superman's an immigrant. No, Superman's a freaking alien. He's not an immigrant.
I just want to see the new Jurassic Park.
There you go.
We
That's
haven't seen
I
that
haven't
yet.
seen that one either. That's I'm saying there's several movies, and it's been like since before COVID that I wanted to go to the movies because everything since COVID has just been crap.
Well, we had to go see that Gladiator one. Ugh.
Yeah, that was bad. That was really bad. It was bad. Do not watch the new Gladiator that came out a year ago.
What he got to see.
Oh yeah, I hadn't watched it yet, and I was weary about it, so I'm glad I haven't. But Susan Womack here says that F1 is by far the best movie in a long time. Look, Brad Pitt don't make bad movies.
He does.
No.
He does. I was about to say that. He really does pick well. He makes some good movies.
Yeah, definitely. So
What is that one he did? Was that Seven back in the day?
Seven was a great movie.
Yeah.
I got the DVD. I own a bunch of movies on DVD. Like I have a huge DVD collection. I haven't bought any in years, but it used to when I had the nightclubs. I went to Sam's on I made my Sam's trip every Tuesday because that's the day that new CDs and DVDs came out.
Yeah.
So I would always just whatever the 2 or 3 big new releases were, I would just throw on the pile and write it off. I got to quit doing the air quotes. That's become like a nervous twitch. I'm like a minority jumping up on a counter twerking every time I get nervous.
I've got at least probably 500 to 600. They're all in the attic right now. And, but I did the same. I used to go to Hollywood Video on County Line Road and just go in that bins they had, throw things in there. They were cheap.
I own all the Sopranos except like the last season. I bought the box sets, and I ended up watching the last one in live time, and was like, well, I'm not buying that one because you had to figure out a way to binge watch things before the internet. So you had to buy like the box sets to do it. So I'd buy a season, binge watch it, then buy another one. I've got, I think, the first 10 seasons of South Park on DVD, which are widely becoming worth a lot of money.
I have VHS.
South Park has been pulled from all the streaming outlets.
Has it really?
Mm-hmm. There's a big battle between Comedy Central, CBS, Paramount, or whatever, and Max. They had kind of sold the rights, the streaming rights, or at least rented the streaming rights to Max, and now Paramount Plus wants South Park back to put on Paramount Plus, and so apparently it's not even available right now. I saw a little blurb, but I didn't click on it. It's a story I have been following because they mentioned that this is why you need to buy physical media.
I have VHS.
It's censoring some episodes too.
The VHS box sets of Friends. I mean, I feel so old saying that.
No, I think it's cool.
Well, I've got Sopranos also. I also have I don't know if you guys used to watch 24, but I've got like every season of 24.
I have Breaking Bad, like the DVD box sets of Breaking Bad.
Really? It's Breaking Bad. The first 3 seasons are
so good,
but they're character building. And so it's like you understand why they're slow and methodical. And I'm glad that AMC gave Breaking Bad the space it needed to grow into the show it became. And
Walter White is a historic character, in my opinion.
Yeah. And Mad Men is one of my favorite all-time shows. And this is kind of the same way. It's an AMC show, but it takes about the 3rd season to really get into it. And being in sales and stuff, I just loved it.
Oh, it's amazing.
You guys got anything else, man?
We'll jump off here.
I want to thank everybody, the super chatters. Thank y'all so much.
Absolutely.
I appreciate everybody. That really meant a lot for you guys to do that. We've got some new chatters, some new commenters tonight that I'm seeing for a first time. Truth Unfiltered.
Feel free to share with your friends and let people know that we're going to be on every night, Sunday through Thursday, and breaking down all of the current events, national, local, and some fun stuff too. I mean, even when it comes to entertainment and what we're seeing and hearing. And we just appreciate everyone so much for commenting and listening and watching and sharing and just being supportive.
Yeah. I do believe that people probably tune in with us to hear our take on more local stuff, but the national stories have been so big the last week that it's really hard to run from them. And I mean, I don't want to force feed local and ignore big national. So I do appreciate people who say, hey, stay in your lane, stick with local. That's what I tune in for. Sometimes the local stories just aren't there. And I don't want to fake interest just for the sake of staying local.
Yeah, sometimes there's just not enough content. I mean, I had one story queued up for today, the Hinds County, the scammers that are pretending to be the Hinds County Sheriff's Department. And I was like, this is kind of boring. I mean, they're calling you saying that you got a warrant, you can pay them some money.
Well, just when this whole Bondi, Trump, Epstein thing is blowing up, it's hard not to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm not going to stick my head in the sand. And I don't want people saying, calling me out either, saying I don't call out. I get enough of it from black folks in Jackson saying I don't call out Rankin County. I ain't going to have folks sitting here saying that I don't call out the Trump administration. I'm going to call it like I see it. I'm going to call balls and strikes the best I can.
Yeah, I think we all do that. And I think that's what makes us real and relatable.
Yeah, but I will say this. I do miss some stuff. I don't see everything. Somebody sent me a link to a video a minute ago on Instagram that said, have you seen these 3 white guys beating a crippled black guy down in Natchez? I hadn't had a chance to watch it yet. My bullshit sensor is pinging. I don't necessarily know that I believe that that's what happened. Just my initial spidey senses say that's BS. But if it's real, we'll definitely cover it. And I'm going to look into it tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right, guys. Well, look, good time. I'll be on the radio tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. or right here on the live stream, wherever you're watching this video at Save JXN on Facebook, X, and YouTube. I didn't stream on Rumble tonight because I was running late, but I'll be on Rumble at Clay Edwards Show. And of course, 103.9 FM WYAB. My co-host here will be there from 12 to 1 with their show, Crossing the Aisle. Y'all be blessed. Guys, you got anything else before I hit in?
That's it. Thanks so much. We appreciate y'all.
All right. See y'all tomorrow. Peace.
Bye.